Hey, what's up, guys? It's N Squared Sport coming back with another video. Today, we're going to be talking NBA again. We're going to do another three teams for our tier ranking series for the playoff teams. So, today, we're going to be doing the 76ers, the Miami Heat, and the Utah Jazz. So, when you hear that, it probably doesn't, you don't really like any of these teams. They're teams that are kind of just whatever. But we're going to try to make a case for all three of them. So, Nick, go ahead and tell me about Philadelphia first.
76ers, the team of all hype and the team that trusted the process. And here we are. Wow, yeah. This team, man, is something else. They have been such a disappointment, and I could argue the biggest disappointment. Um, yeah, the biggest disappointment this season. I can make a case for them because we were making cases for them being the best team in the earlier, like before the season even started. And I can make that same exact case that maybe these guys, all five, work together fantastic, and you're not stopping because maybe, honestly, first, the top five people for a starting lineup, these 76ers may have the most talented starting five. And I don't know if that's even up for question, to be honest with you. Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, Al Horford, Joel Embiid, and it's Josh Richardson is pretty much the other one.
Yeah, and then apparently now Shake Milton, who came onto the scene late in the season, apparently is going to be their starting point guard. So Josh Richardson will move to the bench. But yeah,
Yeah, so they have a really good starting five, and they can be great defensively. They can be great offensively, but if they need that chemistry together. So maybe if this offseason, I could argue that the offseason they reworked stuff and they started working together. They're all healthy. They were all injured on and off in spotty times last year. Rarely did we ever see them all five on the court at the same time. Always felt like one of them was gone. So here we are. They're all rested. I don't like their bench, to be honest with you. I I don't know. There's nothing really that. I mean, I guess since Richardson's now on the bench, that's a good sixth, seventh man that they have. But to be honest, I don't like their bench. But other than that, I do. Case that I could make for this team is that their chemistry is going to get better. Maybe the coaching, they can actually help in the coaching wise, and these personalities can just focus in for a little bit longer, for a month and a half. That's what I would say about this team.
yeah, I think you made a lot of good points. I think this is the biggest boomer bust team in the entire NBA, and like we said earlier, they were thought of as one of the best teams in the NBA earlier this season, and now they're looked at as a first round, maybe second round exit, and nobody even puts it into mind that they'll make it anywhere close to the finals. I mean, at the beginning of the season, we're like, it's them and the Bucks. It's going to be those two. Now we're saying they are probably the fourth or fifth best team in the East, which is not very good. They have all the talent in the world. Ben Simmons, I think, has underperformed greatly. Apparently, we thought he was working on his jump shot. He was not, clearly, because he can't shoot still. Joel Embiid does not show up in the big games. He really just doesn't. He doesn't play well when they need him. And he definitely doesn't play well. Whenever Ben Simmons plays well, you can basically guarantee Joel Embiid's not going to play well. They just can't seem to play together very well. I don't know. I don't have the stat looked up, but I know there's a stat out there that I think Ben Simmons without Joel Embiid on the court plays so much better than with Joel Embiid on the court. It's just very interesting how they play well without each other on the court, and they also play well at home, but they can't play on the road at all. They're a terrible road team, and that's going to hurt them because they're playing road games every single game now. So that's really going to hurt them. I think they have, like I said, they have all the talent in the world. I'm not going to beat that drum anymore, but they really do. They have a bunch of talent, but their chemistry is just all out of whack. They have such I mean, they brought in Tobias Harris on a big contract to try to help that. Shake Milton has brought some life to their team. But I mean, with this team and the players, so when you name these players, when you name Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, Al Horford, you think, wow, they're probably really good. Well, sometimes they are, but they're very inconsistent.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think? What are your thoughts on their bench?
Their bench is okay. They brought in Alex Burks from the Warriors, who is playing pretty well for them. They have Matisse Thybulle, I'm pretty sure is how you say that name. He's decent as well. Other than that, you don't have a lot of depth. You have about 3 or 4 players on your bench that can play at all, and then after that, it's just a bunch of G League players. So they're very top heavy, and their top cannot even play together very well. So yeah, that's what I think on their bench. So I guess moving on, we'll go now to the Miami Heat if you want to go with them.
Yes, the Miami Heat are an interesting team because I feel like they've, is overperformed is a better word to say. They've done well. I mean, you
Yeah.
can't. They have a lot. They're young. They're really young. They're balanced. They have so many of like those rookie of the year candidates type of thing. I mean, Bam's been playing well. And he's most improved player. He's been playing well. Butler's playing really efficient. No, not incredibly efficient, but he's pretty good defensively. Kendrick Nunn's been playing well. Tyler Hero's been playing well. Dragic as well. And they have a good balanced team. And they got Andre Iguodala, who we've seen show up in the playoffs quite a bit. He's a good performer and a good, that good bench player that they need. We haven't seen a ton of him with the Heat, but overall this is a pretty balanced team. They've showed that they can play with the top teams in the league. We've showed that they can compete. They have, I'm counting this right now, they have 9 players that average more than 10 points a game. That's balanced. And one of those is not, that's not even, oh my gosh, that's not even Andre Iguodala. They have another guy that averages 9 in Dion Waiters. So they have a really balanced team. Derrick Jones averages 9. I like this team. Honestly, if there's a sneaky team to watch out for, it would be the Heat. I could see them going on a streak. They are all young. It's sort of like heavy, like they're in their like early 30s or they're young, and it's sort of weird in the middle. And there's nothing in the middle. I like this team. That's what I would say, and I would be scared. I would not want to face them. I could definitely see them upsetting anyone in the East, and I mean anyone. I include that in the Bucks as well. It would be far-fetched, but I definitely could see them winning, and I'm not going to be surprised. I could see them also losing as well. Jimmy Butler's their biggest leader, I would say, and I don't know how much I like that. That's a big knock on them for sure. Nick, you got any points on that?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said they can beat anybody, but also they can lose to anybody. I mean, they at one point earlier this season they were up on the Rockets. I want to say it was like 57-15, like in the second quarter. It was bad, and us being Rockets fans, I think you probably remember that game too. It was ugly to watch. So like that, they can beat anybody, but they also can lose to anybody. Now this year they've beaten most of their opponents instead of losing. But I mean, in the first round, they're most likely going to play either Indiana or Philadelphia. I would give them probably an 80% chance to beat Indiana. I know that's really high. I think Miami is a lot better than Indiana. The Sixers, it would be a good series. I would still probably take Miami over the Sixers. I'm pretty high on them. I think once they get later into the playoffs, it's going to hurt that they don't have a ton of experience. Jimmy Butler has a lot of experience in the NBA, not as much in the playoffs. He hasn't really gotten to a lot of playoff games, but he still is a veteran player. Bam Adebayo is incredible. He's definitely one of the most improved players probably in the NBA. And then they have a lot of good shooters like Kendrick Nunn, Tyler Hero, Dion Waiters. Those are all really good shooters, and kind of they have that dog mentality in them that they think they can beat anybody, and that really helps in the playoffs to have that mentality to be mentally tough. So I do like that about them, but I think they're very streaky also. They're very streaky when they shoot. And so that is going to hurt them if they have more off nights than on nights. That's going to hurt them, and they could go out in the first round. So I think with a lot of the teams, we're seeing a similar trend that if they're really on, they can be good, but most of the time they're pretty streaky. And yeah, so that's what I have to say about them.
Yeah, that's it for this sort of tier.
Then we got Utah. Real quick.
I'm cut that out. You cut that out. I felt like we're missing somebody. Okay, you want. So yeah, we're gonna talk about the Utah Jazz now, and this is a team that has had storylines since Rona hit.
Gosh.
And I don't want to buy into a narrative that that there's beef between Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell. But there probably is after repeated reports of it.
Yeah.
Rudy Gobert is complaining that Mitchell has the ball too much.
Which he's the guard and Gobert's the center. Like, that's how it's supposed to work, but okay.
And Mitchell is having problems with Rudy. Also, they're losing. They lost one of their better scorers.
Yeah, but Bogdanovich they lost also, so that hurts.
And whenever you have a player, whenever their team wasn't scoring, you go to Bogdanovich, or I can't even pronounce his name. He would score for you. He would be there for you, and he was the one like constant that they had. And sometimes Rudy Gobert had on and off nights for a center like him. It was sort of weird. Donovan Mitchell is sort of streaky as well. I love Donovan Mitchell. He's one of my favorite players in the NBA. But sometimes he has this tendency to just chuck it up, I guess, and I don't know, tries playing hero ball, and I don't think he's actually that good to be playing hero ball or enough to elevate his team to that level. It's hard for me as a Rockets fan. I've seen the Jazz lose to the Rockets, I'm pretty sure, in like 3 consecutive playoff games. And I'm pretty sure they should have lost every Rockets game. The only one they won was on a clutch 3 that should not have been in.
Yeah, which was Bogdanovich, who, if he wasn't there, they wouldn't have made that. So
Bogdanovich might be the most relevant player lost, I could argue. Besides like Bradley Beal and Kyrie, because they weren't really going to help their team. He might be the biggest loss to a team that actually had a chance, I could argue. And it's hard to make a case for this team unless Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell stories are false and they actually have chemistry together and the whole team wraps around and they just go on a streak. That's really the biggest case I can make. This team is really hard. I can make more of a case for the Mavs and Trailblazers than I can make for these guys, to be honest with you.
Yeah. For me, I'm just going to be very short with this. When Corona hit, their chances went from 80% to about 10% to go anywhere. I mean, their chances went so far down.
Wow.
Whenever Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell came out, which they were beefing with each other, that did it. And to put a nail in the coffin, they lost Bogdanovich, which even put a bigger nail in their coffin. So I'm just going to be really quick and say they have a little to no shot at this point. Even if Rudy Gobert plays well, Donovan Mitchell still is not going to have that chemistry. Kind of like Chris Paul and James Harden, how they ended their relationship. There was something off with them. And it's the same with, I think, Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell. They're just not going to have the chemistry. And honestly, they're a good defensive team, but they have never, like with the Rockets in their series, they've never had the offense to compete. And losing one of your best offensive players, they just don't have enough to score, especially in the bubble where this is going to be an offensive shootout almost every game, I feel like. There's just not going to be a lot of defense played. I feel like this is going to be kind of just a YMCA kind of just like, let's go, let's just shoot like a bunch, which the Jazz now is not going to be able to do as much with the loss of Bogdanovich. So I think that's going to be the end for this video. We have one more to make after this for these tier lists. So if you like what you see, comment down below what other videos you want to see for the NBA, also NFL stuff. We're always down to do that. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.